Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another fantastic morning. It's your host, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly. We are here with our good new friend, Dylan Goss of Mara Stuff Rock Studios. How are you doing this fine morning? Thank you for stopping in. And, well, I guess it's evening for you over there in Taiwan.
It is. GMT +8. So, yeah.
What's that even mean? +8 to my time?
Well, actually, it'd be +12 to your time. It is 12 hours ahead of Eastern time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty insane. And one of the things I love about doing this is meeting people from, like, across the world. So how did you end up in Taiwan, and how's making comics over there? Is it more difficult than you thought it was going to be?
Well, I mean, that's a journey. I was actually born in Southern Illinois. My family moved to Belize when I was pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
I was 4 when we started the move, So I don't really know much about the U.S. at this point. I'm a Belizean, all right? And
where is that? Is that in Taiwan?
No, Belize is on the southern border of Mexico. It's a tiny little country.
I got you.
Yeah, most people have never heard of it, but it's there. It's in Central America. And I met my wife in university there, and she's from Taiwan. I went into software development as a trade, and in Belize, the opportunities were quite limited for software developing at the time, and I just decided to go somewhere where I had more opportunities to do this. Right. And it was either the US or Taiwan. And well, Taiwan was a lot easier for her.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't easier for me. The red tape here is fantastic, just top notch.
So, I mean, if you want to maybe like touch base upon it, like, what did you have to go through?
Well, I mean, the visa application is intense. They make you do a full blood work. They make you
wow.
Yeah. They make
is that
you
to
prove,
like prevent against like sicknesses or like diseases?
Yeah. They and then they had me fill out forms about family medical history, right? And you have to prove that you have relatives who can buy you a plane ticket if you go broke.
Whoa! They're like, we do not want you to get your broke ass out of here if you ain't bringing anything to the table. That's ruthless. Like, so what did you have to hit up mom and dad like, hey, by the way, I just need to put you down as a reference in case this doesn't pan
I didn't
out.
need to just put them down as a reference. I needed to offer up their bank statement.
Oh my god, dude. They want that. They want everything, huh?
Yeah. But it was easier then than it was now, because with the whole pandemic situation, you're not getting a visa unless you have an established reason to work here already. So, like, if I was new coming to Taiwan, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And then even if you have that, once you get here, you are in quarantine for a couple of weeks.
Which, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see why they would do that. But man, strict. So do you run into any like I guess like stricter like things like with writing and stuff, like in terms of what you're able to do with this comic? Did you have to tiptoe around anything, or was it pretty much?
No. Creatively, you're not really, you don't have any restrictions creatively. What I do have trouble with is IDs, because a lot of places here, if you need to enter an ID number, your ARC or your passport number doesn't go in their system. If you're not a Taiwan local,
oh, no.
You can't enter their system. So that's the sort of trouble I have here.
And I've seen something like that too with I used to be a phone salesman, and we would have people from Guam coming up to where I live to get a phone, and they wouldn't have like a social security number.
Right.
So we would essentially have to like make one up for them. It would be like I forgot how you would do it. It would be like ABC and then like 6 zeros after it or something like that. But it's insane like how even like getting in after all that like testing and stuff, like it's still hard for you to like assimilate into the population because like you're unable to.
Yeah. I mean,
true.
The scale of the problems I have, honestly, the benefits of living here outweigh it.
Yeah.
It's easier to talk about what's wrong with a place than what's right with a place. The food here is amazing. The medical here is amazing. The internet here is incredible. Like I work at home exclusively. I work at home for a U.S. company, and I've never had a problem. The entire time I've been here, I've had a blackout once. The typhoon hit. It was a brief blackout because it actually did damage on my street, and they still repaired that before I woke up.
That's pretty insane, though. I could tell you, road construction here that it becomes a meme quickly. How long it takes for roads to get like repaired and patched up. So let's go ahead and start breaking into what did you form Stuffed Rock Studios? Was that your own like creation? So
yeah.
So what went into forming that? Have you done that like since your stay in Taiwan?
Well, originally I was going to be using that for game development because I've always wanted to tell stories in some fashion, and I just thought, hey, I'm a software developer. I can get into game development. It should be a pretty easy transition. Mm-hmm. But what I found out after doing it for a little while unsuccessfully is that a good game can have a good story, but that's not what makes a game good. If you're just dragging somebody by the nose for your story, that's not a very good game.
Yeah. So what is a good game to you?
A good game has to have, a balance of the two, good gameplay and good story, and to a lesser degree, good graphics. Like,
so
you go to
it's funny you said that, man. I always like my I call it the Holy Trinity: good gameplay, good graphics, and a good story. Like, because I used to do game reviews a long time ago. That's kind of what cultivated into this. And
right.
It's funny you said that because like we got pretty similar minds in terms of that. I really do think as long as you have two of the three, you can have one where it's not really touching, hitting too hard. We also have Olivia, Claire, and Dad in the chat saying good morning.
Good morning, Olivia.
So is that one of your friends?
No. I believe that's I believe you brought.
Oh, could have been one of me. I'm not exactly sure, but hey, Olivia, thank you for stopping in, and good morning to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Back to Rock Stuff Studios. It's really easy for me to get off tangent. You said it came because you had difficulty creating a game?
Yeah, so there were multiple problems with it. I approached it wrong. I was younger. I wasn't as clever. Not as clever as I thought I was. But one of the problems was I made the mistake a lot of people make. And it's like, oh, I have a friend who can do this part, so I'm just going to have them do that part. And in my case, it was a 3D modeler. I have a friend who knows how to do that. I'll just have him do it. The problem with that is it quickly becomes a situation where it's not being done professionally, and it doesn't really even have anything to do with how talented your friend is in this case. If you're having someone on your project and you're not paying them, it's not going to be a priority for them.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to do a comic or a game, and maybe your friend is legitimately an amazing artist. Pay them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it gives them that motivation to get to work.
Also, I mean, if they really are good at what they do, then their time is valuable.
Yeah, fair point. You should always. I'm a firm believer in that type of model, like you should never ask for like discounts or anything. You should always pay full price because that's what they deserve, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean that fell apart because we were arguing, and I realized later on all the many mistakes I made, and probably there were some other mistakes that I haven't figured out yet. But I reflected on that, and I realized later on that game development was the wrong approach, and how I approached game development was wrong as well.
So what was your first game going to be? Like what type of game?
I was going for a bullet hell shooter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
funny enough, I actually had the cinematics drawn up as comic pages, and that really should have tipped me off earlier. I really should have figured it out earlier.
So this game didn't hit the mark. What drove you to create Mara? This is way different than a bullet hell shoot 'em up game. So that's why I asked, because it's like a total like polar opposite. When I first read issue number 1, like I said, I seen the cover. I'm like, okay, I never judge a book by the cover, but I'm like, okay, this animation, maybe this is gonna be like a cute story, and it was quickly like, oh my god, like no. She's covered in blood.
You got a couple cute pages.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, some family bonding. That's like, oh my god, no. So, what drove into the path to comics then?
I think, I've kind of always been on this path. When I was growing up, when I was very young, my dad bought a whole bunch of boxes of comics at a yard sale, stuff from the 70s, and I grew up reading those. And then later on, I got into manga as well, But what really gave me the kick to go into this was I saw Logan in the theater.
Such a good movie.
It is. And,
oh my god.
And when Daphne Keane made her first appearance on screen, that first fight scene, that really took root in my mind. And that was her performance was a huge inspiration for Mara as well. Because they presented her as an animal first.
Yeah.
And then she slowly kind of opened up and became more human. And while I didn't go exactly the same way with Mara, it definitely in there. It's definitely a big part of that. And of course, without Conan, the word barbarian wouldn't be in any of our vocabularies, right? Conan was a huge influence there, but also some animes. You have your wolf and girl trope. Obviously, comes from Princess Mononoke.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I definitely was getting those vibes a little bit.
Yeah. So, I was always on the comics path. I just didn't realize it, and Logan gave me that last little nudge. Get in there and do something.
The way they were able to show you a side of Logan that you haven't seen before, and a side of Professor Xavier as well, like losing his mind. He was going through dementia, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. It was either that or Alzheimer's.
Any degenerative mental issues for a guy with those kind of powers is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. And they really nailed it so beautifully. And I definitely, after you explained, I can see those influences. So how did you end up coming across the artist? It seems like you kind of have a preference, with the game development. It felt like you really didn't hit that, but the illustrations in this are just phenomenal.
So because I do software development, I have some artist contacts, for design work, and one of those designers did the comic pages for the game I was trying to get going. So I knew she did comics already, and I asked her first, hey, I have this comic idea. Would you like to be a part of that? And she took a look at the script and she said, well, this is cool, but I don't really do fantasy. I do sci-fi, right? I can ask a few of my friends. Now, she downplayed this a lot. When she said, ask a few of my friends, what she meant was, I will tell all of my art school contacts this, and you're going to have 15 emails in your inbox by the
Hey,
end of the day.
that's good though, right? That gives you a larger field to play with.
Yeah, none of the artists who applied were bad. Some of them were bad at presenting themselves, which, if you don't have a portfolio, I'm sorry. I can't really do anything with that.
Because how are you going to, show examples of your work?
Yeah. If I ask you for a portfolio and you attach a couple of sketches, no, I'm sorry. I need to understand, your brand of art, not just a couple sketches, because artists will have different styles, right? And even the same artist will have multiple styles that they like to use, right? And when I shortlisted 3, I gave them a commission. I said, hey, with all the descriptions I've given you and with the script, I want you to do a concept art of the main character. How do you interpret the main character as I've written her? And,
that's pretty smart. That's pretty smart. Yeah.
I liked them. I actually liked all of them, but Rosie's work stood out. It really stood out in a way that made me want to see more of her work. And you're in a car lot, and you see the one car you want, and yeah, you might look at other cars, but you're gonna keep looking at
keep going
the
back.
One that caught your eye. And it was the same situation here. This really caught my eye, and I realized, these other artists are good, but I think I made up my mind a while ago.
So, what went into creating this first issue? I know we're gonna touch base on the Kickstarter, but I think just kind of breaking it down. I had a chance to read it, and it was very intriguing. At first, it seemed just like a daughter and her father, and then it quickly turns into a violent invasion of their city or homeland, and people are just getting slaughtered left and right. And then there's just this one dude on the battlefield who was just different than the rest, and that's what caused everything to kind of change.
The what happened there was before the first issue begins, there was a war between the gods, which set the sky on fire, destroying the day-night cycle and having an ecological disaster of unprecedented scale. Mara's village used to be an icy area. They were ice fishers before. So they had a huge change in their culture, all right? They had to change how they dressed. They had to change how they gathered food. They used to be self-sufficient, and they had to switch to the common language of the area for trade. But the reason that they were invaded is because they had the only river around.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And so who was this mysterious entity on the battlefield? He just was completely different from the rest, and this is what invoked Mara to get her powers, right? Or what would you call that? Like a power or like a trance?
She had the wolf Amaru is a spirit guardian, right? And normally, what would happen in this village, which didn't happen anymore because they lost a lot of their tradition, is they would have trials to see who would become the spirit's champion. And because they hadn't done this trial in a while, there was no champion. And also because there was no trial, he couldn't determine who was most worthy until there was only one left.
Yeah.
And so that's effectively what he was telling his colleague. She's not the best of us, but she is the last of us.
And the colleague is not about it. Don't do it. What are you doing? And he just goes ahead and he just full sends it. And it was such a crazy change in turn of events, because you just see her, and how was your feeling when you got the art on her just standing there there's dead bodies surrounding her, and she's just like blood dripping from her knuckles and from her weapon. Like, dude, that was such a brutal image. I fell in love like right then and there.
I had to sit on that page for a while. Oh boy, I did not want to sit on that page. I wanted to put it out immediately.
It was so good.
And I have Jim Zub and Dan Panosian on Twitter, and they're really nice guys. Jim Zub, he has a blog, a Tumblr blog to help aspiring comic writers. And I didn't know about this before. When I first started getting into it, I saw that his DMs were open. I liked Skull Kickers. I like his work on Conan. So of course I'm going to ask him for help if he's got his DMs open.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you have any advice for a new writer? It's like, matter of fact, Dylan, I do.
How did you feel when he responded back? That's pretty cool, right?
I was kind of floored. Yeah, I was like, oh, I kind of just expected you to not even see this, let alone
exactly. Yeah.
But that's the kind of guy he is. If you message him, if you tag him, he will say something. And assuming that you're not insulting him, he'll say something nice about your work.
You know what? And the thing is, like, even being like a small guy like I am, it's hard to keep up with that type of stuff. It's hard sometimes to not get overwhelmed. And the fact that he does that and takes time out of his day, he has probably 100 times of what I experienced, like that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. And, I brought him up because when that page dropped, I've also had similar conversations with Dan Panosian, but less so because he's an artist and I'm a writer. So he didn't have as much relevant advice for me. But I tagged them both when I dropped the page. I'm like, hey guys, am I a cool barbarian now? And they were like, very cool. Yes. This is great. And that was I'm still writing that high. It's been months now. I'm still writing that.
Oh, anyway. Another favorite was when she was walking away, and then there's just the trail of blood following her. Oh man, phenomenal job. Did you so what was your how did you translate that? Did you just let the artist just full send it, or did you like tell him to design it a certain way?
So we started on this project before starting the pages because we needed to both be on the same page. She speaks English very well, but she does speak English as a second language. So even if somebody speaks their second language,
it can be a barrier.
It can be a barrier. And we had to make sure that we both had the same understanding of the world. And we both had the same understanding of the tribe. That was
pretty hard, I bet, huh?
Yeah. And then we had to decide on a script format. Now, a lot of people use the Marvel method, and the Marvel method is good. I'm not going to try and dunk on the Marvel method here and pretend that I have a better solution for you. I don't. But what's more important than using any specific format is to use the format that everybody's on board with. See, the reason the Marvel method is so great is that it's a big company and you have to have it standardized.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You're going to have, you can easily have 10 people or more working on a comic. You have to have everybody on the same format, and that's fine. But I found with Rosie that that wasn't most helpful to her creative process. So what we ended up settling on looks more like a written narrative with a heavy visuals.
Sometimes finding that bridge is like what will help the most, and that's pretty awesome. Because I was sitting here wondering myself, like, how would I go about trying to get my idea of my book to someone who might have a hard time understanding, because they sometimes there's a word that doesn't exist in their language, right? They have no idea what it is. So yeah, so what did those look like? Kind of like just like narrated like footnotes to, sort of.
So it looks like it kind of looks like a novel, but focused on the visuals. You read a novel and they're going to focus on all five senses, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me to do that in this case, right? And then there are also visual references as well. So I do define some of the panels, and some of the panels I don't define, and I let her do that.
No, that's cool. I think that's a nice way for her to kind of get her creative juices out there too.
Yeah, and it also comes back to something that I learned from Jim. He said, artists are not drawing robots, and that really stuck with me.
Yeah,
And that's honestly, that one quote has driven how I have handled working with Rosie from the very start.
that's awesome though. I mean, it sounds like he's had like a lot of like really good information. Sometimes it's so easy to overlook that, I guess, if you're not an artist yourself. Like it's hard, I guess, to put yourself in their shoes and kind of think of it from their perspective. And yeah, that's cool that you're able to kind of think of it in a different manner. So with Mara issue number 1 though, you're looking at doing a upcoming Kickstarter, correct?
Yeah.
So
where are you at? Print.
Yeah, where are you at with that? And I guess what date are you hoping for?
We actually have a date set. May 27th. We're going to the campaign is going to go live.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Awesome. So, any idea, I guess, for what tiers are going to look like? Do you have any sort of preview in mind of how you want to run this Kickstarter campaign?
Absolutely. We're just ironing out details right now.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, we have a lot of things set up already. I can tell you about the major add-on. The comic is very popular with the tabletop RPG crowd. Chapter 2 is very Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
You have a party, you have dungeons, you have dragons.
Okay, that's like a completely big turn from the first issue.
Well, the thing is that in the first issue, she lost her tribe, and with the wolf's influence, she actually is mentally more wolf than human at this point. And when I was writing, I of course had to do my research. I'm one of those writers who will stop and do research for hours before continuing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about lone wolves is that they don't survive on their own for very long. If you're a lone wolf, you have 2 options. You find a new pack or you die.
Yeah. No, that's so what makes her become the alpha, I guess, in chapter 2? Like I'm assuming she becomes the alpha, right?
She is just so overwhelmingly physically strong compared to a normal human being.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to not let somebody like that stand in front.
Yeah.
If you're in a dangerous situation, if I'm in a dangerous situation, I'm gonna be standing behind the biggest guy. Now,
yeah, and just I mean, like I said, I didn't touch any after issue 1, but it's just I cannot express enough. And I tried to include some of the pictures down below in the image slideshow, but she is like just so fierce, like because you see her in the first like couple pages, just an innocent girl. She's innocent, she's scared, she has no idea what's going on, and then by the next to last page, she's snarling, covered in blood, and it's just like, dude, like, oh man, I loved it, dude.
The thing that's going to appeal to the tabletop players a lot is she's getting a 3D model.
Okay, yeah, dude, that's awesome.
It's I've already printed it on my 3D printer. I've done the test print and it works great.
Was it hard getting her character modeled?
It was a process. I had the concept art already, and that's the first step.
But you still got to create what, the STL file?
Yeah, and then I had to get an action pose. So I got Rosie to draw an action pose, and we went back and forth on how that should be. And also, the action pose has to be something that is conducive to 3D printing. If you have one of the major problems that I learned about that a lot of these modelers have to teach their clients, me in this case, is that you need a lot of contact with the base, or else you risk failed print.
Spaghetti arms.
Yep.
I do a lot of 3D printing myself too. And you're 100% right. Either you gotta do the standard support or the tree support, but if there's not enough structure at the base, it's just gonna fall. And it's hard
Yeah.
enough to 3D print. You got to pretty much level that thing like 6 times before you even get a print going.
Yeah, well, I have it down to a science at this point. But yeah, we did some back and forth, and we got a cool base. You know, we got a cool pose, and we got a cool base. And some
Well, so
attack pose.
do you have one already printed?
I do have one on my desk, and my desk is super neat and clean, and this is definitely something that I had right next to me, of course. Where are you at, Mara?
It's like
Where are
Indian
you
in the
at?
cupboard.
Yeah. No, I do. Here we
Good
go.
morning, Amy, by the way. Thank you for popping in the chat. We appreciate that.
I primed her up already. Let's get.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah. And dude, it helps. So my biggest thing is like the top of the axe. I'd be so afraid. What type of support did you use for that?
It is pre-supported.
Okay.
We have the pre-supported and we have the unsupported version if you want to do your own supports. Depending on your printer, some people like to do their own supports. All right. I'm happy enough to just use the pre-supported one. I've got a Sonic Mini 4K, and I have all the settings dialed in, and I just press go at this point.
Yeah, I have like an entry level. It's like a Vortex Aquila. So it's a 200 like entry level one, but it's not too bad. I've had a lot of fun with it. It gets addicting too.
Oh yeah, my desk is ridiculous right now. Because I'm also a mini painter, right?
Yeah.
And like I've got all kinds of cool stuff, you know.
Because you can make them right off the rip. It has to be just a dream.
Yeah. So with her, I wanted to have her in like an attack pose, and because she doesn't have any fighting training, she is just a wild, just swinging the axe as a little kid with a big weapon. So the way she throws herself forward is she doesn't have a good stance, right? She just uses overwhelming strength. So the base, actually, we had to have the rocks here. Let me try and get that closer to the
but
camera.
that looks good though. That's I think a good way to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, it has good detail on it. We did have some another mini painter painted up already. I would have liked to paint it up myself, but you know, I'm running this Kickstarter. I have a full-time job, and I have 2 kids under age 3. So some things
time's
end
limited.
up on the
Yeah,
back.
yeah. So we have about 9 minutes left. Let's go ahead. Is tiers. Let's nail out any other tiers that you have, and then we'll begin wrapping this up. I do want to get you back on though when this Kickstarter goes live, and we can actually go over the Kickstarter, pull it up, and go over individual tiers in a little bit more in depth though. I just figured with today we'd kind of set the base for it, you know, and get people warmed up. So
besides the comic, obviously, there's also the variant cover. You know, Rosie drew up a special variant cover for the Kickstarter. We got a guest artist to do some other cool stuff. She did a sticker and 2 postcards for it.
Ooh,
and,
I always love stickers. Stickers are like the best.
She leaned into the Mara is cute part. You know, it's still definitely her, but you know.
Hey, that sells just as much though, you know.
Yeah. And there is one thing that I'm really looking forward to, and it's Mara's axe on a keychain.
Oh, yo, so is that going to be 3D printed as well?
And it's not going to be 3D printed. It's going to be Rosie drew up some special art for it, and it's going to be in an acrylic keychain.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So how does that feel having like such cool merch just come from an idea that started out, you know, way back when you first started? Like this has to be like awesome, you know?
Yeah, you know, I've been doing this comic for a little over a year now. Mara's birthday is April 8th. You know, and I've been paying for it out of pocket. You know, there is a Patreon, and it does help, but it's not covering all of the expenses. And finally, I get to this point, and I'm thinking, okay, we're finally ready. We can take this to print.
That's so awesome.
And
you already have it completed too, so that's like a big chunk of it already. A lot of people are kind of weary on Kickstarters about a project going through or not, but you're already finished. You just want to get this printed to a physical. Like, so are you like, I guess, what are you going to do to help promote this Kickstarter? Are you going to offer people like a chance to read the PDF, or what sort of strategies do you have to kind of get the name out there?
Well, the comic is available in a lower image quality on the web for free, so you can actually go check it out and see if it's your bag, before you decide that you want to pay for a print or a high quality PDF.
And I still think the images look really good too, even though they might be low res. We'll put those links in the description, the Patreon and the link to check out the website for free too.
Yeah, and that's how I have been getting all of my readers so far. Just, hey, here's the comic. If you like what we do, you can support it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Hey, we have Clunch coming in saying the comic is amazing. Hey, welcome to the stream as well.
Glad
Clunch.
You're enjoying it.
Yeah, and if you haven't read it already, we'll put this post-production on YouTube with the link in the comment. So it's getting around that time. We got about 5 minutes left, so I want to touch base on just you in general. What do you have to say to everyone watching to get them? Because what we'll do is when we go to promote your show, when you go live with the Kickstarter, we can get that pre-book because there's usually a pre-book link with your Kickstarter. So what we could do is like start commenting that out for you. What do you want to say to anyone to start backing that, or to eventually back your project on Kickstarter if you had to say anything to them?
I think that indie comics are really where it's at, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love Marvel, I love DC, don't get me wrong, I'm not even going to try and hate on them, all right? But the ideas that you see in indie comics are just so far out of left field, and mine is kind of far out there. I've seen some that are like way far out there, and if you haven't gotten into indie comics yet, man, you are really missing out.
Well,
because the mainstream is formulaic, and the formula works. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
People think formulaic is a dirty word. It's not. But if you want something new and exciting and a little rough around the edges, you should really start getting into indie comics.
Yeah, because a big thing is like you guys have to work a lot harder than a lot of DC and Marvel creators. In the essence that you don't have like the DC or Marvel branding behind your book.
Right.
And this book is amazing though. Mara issue 1 was phenomenal. I highly recommend anyone to read it because you could not only do it for free, but it's good. Like when I first read it, like I said, I thought it was going to be a cutesy, and I wasn't trying to judge it, but she's cute, she's adorable, and then she's just covered in blood, and she's like just like killing people left and right, and it's like holy shit, like where did this go? How did we get here? Second book, she's fighting dragons, like man, it's phenomenal.
Definitely. Because of the Western comic influence and the manga influence, it really is in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
The art style is very manga-like, but it has obvious Western influences as well. And I think it's something that I created something I wanted to read. That's what it comes down to. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't put it out there. I didn't start making money when I started doing it. I started doing it because I wanted to do it and I loved doing it. And so that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a passion project.
No, absolutely. So Dylan, we've come to my favorite part of the interview, and that's when I always ask this one question in particular, and that is if there was any person out there who's kind of just struggling like you were, you were trying to create a game and you just realized that wasn't it. And they wanted to give comics a go, or they just wanted to follow their passion with comics and they're just having a hard time starting. What advice would you give them to kind of help them get off the ground?
Well, I got off the ground by doing my research. And I know it sounds like a cop-out answer because no one likes to be told, just Google it. But you really do have to do that. You can't rely on any one person's advice. you have to try and get as much advice from different sources as you can because everybody has something different to say. And think about it like describing a ball. Let's simplify it a lot.
Hmm.
I might say, oh, the ball is round, the ball is blue, and the ball is bouncy. But I didn't think about whether you would want to know if the ball is plastic or the ball is rubber, so I never mentioned it.
Yeah.
And you go to somebody else's blog and they say, oh, this is a rubber ball and it's got lines on it. Well, I wasn't thinking about the lines.
And another one is like it has these small little bumps on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you need all of this information, and no one person is going to have it all for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if they have huge archives of information like Jim Zub does, I didn't get all of my advice from him. I got a lot of it from him. I got useful advice from him.
It's still really cool that he responded too. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the other thing. There are people in the industry who will respond to you, who will help you out. Gail Simone is very active on Twitter.
Yes,
you know?
yes. I've seen that a lot.
I think I actually annoyed her and she muted me. It's not. We didn't have a fight or anything. It's just like after a while she stopped responding. I feel like she was probably this guy again.
She has a crap load of followers as well, though. You know.
Yeah. She has a lot of followers, and you know, she posts a lot of nonsense. You know, the whole Gail Simone's really a bear meme.
Yeah.
But you know, she does help. She does help indies get off the ground too, and it's not like these people are as unapproachable as you might think they are.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've found that a lot of indies will snub me more so than the mainstream people.
Oh no, man.
But you know, I've also had some good interactions with indies, like the Glyn and Monsterland comic, which already has been printed.
I actually was
a crossover.
I was going to actually interview them before their Kickstarter. That was going to be one of the very first ones. We just couldn't line up the date. So I was actually really happy to see they funded too.
Yeah, hey, you know, Kevin's a good guy. He's
He's
got
awesome.
a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we did a crossover with them. And his artist actually went on to do things for Marvel. She drew a lot of the cards for the Marvel
That's wild.
game.
Yeah, that's wild. That's cool. Hey, well, you said, what was it, May, what's the date again for the Kickstarter?
May 27th.
27th. Let's try to get you on around that date to talk about the Kickstarter. I got to wrap things up. I have to go. Right. We got to get rid of the pink. We're going to go do Vomit Green because I do charity drives on Twitch. We raised $530 for the children of Ukraine, and they picked Vomit Green as the hair color of choice. So I need to wrap up. And we're going to get this edited out later on today. But Dylan, thank you so much for stopping by and helping us keep it geekly. I really appreciate it. And everyone in the chat, we had Plunge, we had Amy, and we also had Olivia in the chat. Thank you guys for stopping in and keeping it geekly with us as well. And I hope you guys all have a fantastic Thursday.